A bipartisan bill requiring police agencies to request prospective hire records from past departments passed the House Judiciary Committee this week. HB 1262, sponsored by Democratic Representative Angela Williams and Republican Senator John Cook, addresses a loophole that allows officers with previous guilty pleas to work in Colorado. Eric, what do you think of this bipartisan action here in the Colorado legislature?
Well, I think I can do this one quickly. Good for them. It's the right issue. It's not going to solve the problem all on its own, but it is a step in the right direction. A couple months ago, I made Angela Williams my Say Something Nice at the end of the show for sponsoring this particular piece of legislation by getting John Cook as her co-sponsor, former Weld County Sheriff. That is a powerful duo, Democrat in the House, Republican in the Senate. I don't have any reason to think this bill can't go through the process. Kristen may have a better assessment of that. Lastly, can we adopt this same concept and maybe apply it to medical technicians where we share information across state lines of bad apples? We could have used that in Colorado as well.
And well, I think a lot of patients out of Swedish would really back that bill. Kristen, as Eric gave us a great segue, what's the inside scoop viewers need to know?
It's interesting because the president of the Senate, Bill Cadman, spent his whole opening day speech kind of in a 20-minute love letter to law enforcement. He was really telegraphing, I'm not going to let anything get out of this chamber that can be any way construed as anti-cop. So it's interesting that you have Cook on board. He's sort of a former sheriff. He's sort of their go-to guy on law enforcement issues. Last year's bill that did allow them to share some limited parts of a former officer's record, but didn't require it. This is taking a step further, saying, no, you must share if there's anything, not just lying to you, but any kind of complaints about excess force or that kind of thing. What's more interesting is where Cook is going to fall on a chokehold ban. Last year that bill failed. He was opposed to banning it. This year the ban is somewhat different. I don't really understand the nuance, but for some reason cops may be okay with a chokehold ban that says you can't cut off blood flow, just not airflow. There's some sort of difference in banning both. So, and Cook has said publicly, I'm not sure where I stand on this. I haven't looked at it yet. So those other parts of the package may end up being more interesting.
Patty, for a first-time senator, we're seeing John Cook in the press for a lot of things and a lot for bipartisan efforts. What do you make of it?
Well, and he has great experience in law enforcement, which most legislators do not, unless it's dealing with law enforcement on the other side. If they go with the chokehold, let's also ban bouncers from using chokeholds. Yes. We saw one customer die this week because of a chokehold. The legislature has also been considering making hospitals have to share information about tech, so let's hope that also goes through. I think John Cook's got a great future at the legislature, and I think people will listen to him. I think this will pass easily.
Todd, can the deal get done?
Yeah, I think so. You know, again, I go back to basically the bipartisan question you just asked Patty. I mean, John Cook is really amassing this sort of scorecard of working across the aisle. The last time I was on this show, as a matter of fact, we talked about a bill he was working on in conjunction with Rhonda Fields. And again, when you just look at John Cook, sort of this staunch Republican that really represents, you know, the whole Eastern Plains in a sense, if you will, you know, and represents law enforcement at the same time. Yeah, he's building this amazing sort of bipartisan hand to play gin with. The other thing I'd say is, you know, Eric brings up the medical issue. It was just a couple of weeks ago that Channel 9 did the same thing, but it was with teachers that had been disciplined in other states. So we're not just looking at, you know, we're not just looking at this with cops. And by the way, congrats to Chris Osher on a job well done at the Denver Post. We would not have this bill if it weren't for his reporting. But it's not just cops, it's medical issues and teaching issues as well.
Mm-hmm.